So no matter we have the five panelists sitting here, but for me, all of you are panelists, right? So we need to, try to put in some kind of thoughts on this very, very important topic. Because we always think that, we will never be replaced. Even BlackBerry at one point of time fed, they will never be replaced. And you know what happened to BlackBerry, right? So times are changing, times are really evolving. The parents have changed, the teachers have changed, everyone has changed, the environment has changed, and it is up to us to realize whether do we accept that. How do we shape our schools? There are so many models coming out in education today. It is up to us to understand that are we prepared for the future. Schools years back was formed and developed for a reason. Are we still serving that reason? Do the stakeholders really, are they looking for the same objective for which we started schools at one point of time? That's the big challenge in front of us. Are we at the brink of being replaced? So I want to start with Sanjay. Sanjay, the topic is, are we going to be replaced? Because with the skills required, everything changing, your thoughts on this whole topic?
So, very good morning to everyone. Uh, Indeed, this is a thought which has been echoing in our minds, and even if it is not echoing, we need to think about it. And when I heard about the topic, and my first thoughts which came, I related to a situation as you were talking about. Let's relate it to an example. So, some example which can become an inspiration for us. We might have moved on with the help of technology in, let's say, healthcare sector. However, past 2 years, where the demographics have changed, where people's expectation, be it children, they of course will keep moving on time. And I keep using this phrase that yes, we are living in one of the most exciting times because there have been many things on our wish list which have become true. I would say that as a teacher, if I was able to show a three-dimensional diagram by drawing on a two-dimensional plane, the realization for a child was different. And maybe the earlier infusion of technology, which was there, probably showing some PowerPoint or some video. But today it has moved on to the level of creation of content or bringing your thoughts. And not only us, but rather motivating and bringing our children into the front space where they are able to create. So definitely this is a wave on which we need to learn how to ride and take advantage of that.
Thank you, Sanjay. I totally agree because there was a time, when probably our parents were in school, they could, when they're learning some concept, they used to step out of the classroom, they used to actually feel the real stuff, right? Unfortunately, the real stuff has disappeared from the environment, so we have to get onto a 3D model for children to witness it, right? But they miss the, sensing it. Yeah, good one. Yeah, over to you, ma'am. What are your thoughts?
Good morning, everyone, and thank you so very much for having me here. I completely agree with what Sanjay said. The school should not be used as a place for or as a institution for information or should not be considered as only as information providers. Rather, schools should be considered as a place where enhancement of their emotional well-being, social well-being take place. So it's very important that we are at par with the advancement of technology and we are not outdated because we are dealing with 21st century learners and learning communities, I would say. And we also need to upgrade ourselves as per their requirements. But at the same time, I feel that technology is very much important, but when it is well supplemented with our old beliefs of ethos and values and ethics system, that should not go away from any education system. But at the same time, we really need to revisit, is the present system of education is able to drag out all those capabilities of a child or not? I don't think so, because we really need to change our learning spaces into skill-based learning places wherein all kind of growth is happening. And once the all-round growth is ensured, I think they are at pace with any kind of advancement in the technology.
Thank you, Jyoti. And I think we are trying to understand what is the purpose of schools. We are trying to understand what is the purpose of education, right? What is the real purpose? Why? What are we supposed to do sitting in a school?
Going back to our topic, I have certain questions in my mind. Can the technology, can the AI inspire learning? Can technology estimate the emotional state of the mind and adapt the pedagogy of the teacher? Can technology provide that warm and encouraging feedback? Can technology determine the motivational state at what the student is? If the answer to all the questions is no, we are absolutely safe. Yeah, so we that the purpose of whole education is definitely not, we are not facilitators. The technology is to augment teaching. So the technology will be there, and we need to be at par with the technology. And in that, the main focus when we say holistic development and all-rounded individuals, it is with the socio-emotional learning. So that aspect, if you're able to keep it, along with definitely the changing technology, adapting ourselves to the times, I think we will be able to. And another many decades it will take to, the technology to phase out teachers.
But technology will help you, like, for example, in differentiation, right? For you to understand the needs of each child. As human, it is out of, especially if your classroom size is larger, it becomes very, very difficult. That's why technology can come to guide you, but it should guide you, it should not lead you. That's the difference. Yeah. Sapna, yeah. I know you have got a lot to say. Yeah.
Good morning, everyone. So, just adding to that, we all know that today's survey, we know that around 16 lakh schools exist in India, including private and government schools. So, I don't think so. Technology is going to replace us. We are never letting it happen. Yes, teachers who are not able to adapt to the change may be replaced with other teachers, but we are not going anywhere. I don't think so. We are at risk. And after COVID, it's short answer that we are not at risk because, again, I'll say that yes, if we are not upgrading ourselves, there is a point that we might get replaced. Give certain examples from the government perspective that working closely with the government today, like there were certain awards happening by some organizers, and they asked me that, do you think government schools, apart from Delhi, are there any government schools which are doing well in India? So the answer is yes, and a very big yes. I invite all the private schools to come and see what government schools are doing.
I think very, very, especially on the government angle, since I also work very, very closely, I know that the priorities of governments are much larger than just teaching and learning. Right? During COVID, the priority was to bring food on the table. Is more important than actually ensuring that they're finishing their worksheets. Right? It changes. Right? Priorities keep changing. Thank you so much, Sapna. Yeah, please.
Very good morning. I'm completely agree with my fellow panelists. We are into the 21st century, and 21st century is known as digital age, and the world is on the pace, continue on the pace of digitalization, and every day new innovations are going on. And you know that we are all having this small gadget mobile, and everything is in the world, the whole world is in our hand. So, with the advancement of technology, our students are also getting a space. They are able to do self-paced learning. They are getting so much online resources for the research. And this COVID time also tell us that with the help of this technology only, we would be able to connect from our students. So if this the technology was just like a boon for us at that point of time, and we would be able to connect. Yeah, human connection is quite very important. So if I must say that technology cannot replace the great teacher, but technology in the hand of great teacher can be transformational. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. And I just want to add here that, the speed of technology is very, very fast. You have to realize that. By the time we catch on to some technology, it is totally changed. So, Sanjay, my question to you is, the way technology is evolving, the way, accept the fact we are a little bit slower than our kids. Do we accept that? Because in terms of technology, we are a little slow. How do we ensure that our schools are able to run the speed of our children?
So I'll go back to the initial thought as you were asking, and the audience was also engaged, that we again have to, when we are looking at the purpose of education, maybe there was a time when we were preparing people for a different kind of life, and now we realize that our children, they are going to lead a life which is a kind of hybrid life or a different life. So we just have to repurpose, meeting the needs of it, and again, of course, matching the pace of it will be a challenge, for which we have to build our capacities. I'll give you a simple example. Mr. Brahmam, he was talking to us. He said that yesterday we had some sessions which was there in the space which we walked through when we were going for our cup of tea or coffee, where all the exhibits are there. So learning spaces, you can imagine the kind of excitement which it brings when we transform them. Are we going to restrict them into the four walls, or we can again bring that hybridization in the learning spaces? So when this is available, it is correlating more, because the life child is leading is a hybrid life. So are we able to bring that infusion in every day-to-day life experiences in our schools? If we are able to bring, then definitely the child will be excited to come to us and will say that, yes, this is what I understand and it echoes my sentiments. And if the child is not getting that, child will move away. As it was very rightly mentioned, that we are not provider of knowledge, rather we are facilitator. So we are here to provide facilitation, provided we are equipped ourselves for that. So let's better equip ourselves, and again going back, that let's enjoy the excitement of this journey ourselves.
Just to add there, running after technology, there's a lot of cost involved. You have to understand that, that critical area, which probably we are not able to. I think one of the reasons why we are running slow is because the cost is also heavy, right? I mean, everyone would like to have, each student can have a laptop, but it can only go to privileged schools. In a lot of government schools, they cannot afford, or maybe the resources are not there, mindset is not there. Everything comes with a cost. So that's like a barrier which we need to see how to break that barrier.
So that's where I know that there are a lot of success stories which we have come across, and both of you mentioned that when you were looking at the government school sector, how they met the challenges, the kind of innovations which have happened. Is it necessary that do we have to adapt a ready-made solution which is there, or can we innovate and create a solution?
Very good, very good example. Okay, now Jyoti, if you are, let us just imagine that Jyoti stood for an election and she won elections. And she is the Education Minister of India, for example. And she's going to make some announcements today. If you were the Education Minister, what kind of reforms you would bring so that you can stop schools being replaced?
Such a big situation over me, huh? So, as a policy maker, globalization of education, but value rooted, and then upgradation of curriculum is very, very important. We cannot do the same. We have so many challenges in front of us. We are dealing with the 21st century learning community, and then we don't look at the kind of changes we need to. So it's very important that we see the curriculum, and it needs complete upgradation. It has to be multidimensional, and assessment, revamping of assessment system, I think would be my foremost concern. Intense training, capacity building for teachers, because ultimately they have to take it forward.
Would you scrap board examinations?
Yes, of course. But this 3 hours pen paper test cannot design the capabilities of a child. Rather, it should be skill-based assessment. Let them become the owner of the solution of the problem. Who are we to provide them the fixed solution to the problem? I'm a strong believer in that. We never give them that time to think. Thinking is very important. Say they really need to grow with critical thinking skills. And then capacity building I was talking about, very important. We cannot have the same kind of training with all kind of teachers we have. It should be customized. It should be on need basis, requirement basis. And then we need to have very learning techniques wherein they are learning, unlearning, and then relearning. It's very, very important. And partnership of communities and parents is very, very
Your
important.
5-year term is getting over.
I just did for 5 months only.
No, but the kind of work you have done, you promised, you're exhausted your 5-year term. Because it has taken, I think, India so many years to, even to get to this stage today, right? Why I specifically brought the education minister angle is because many of us, when we do reforms in private schools, we feel that we are only responsible. No, the larger system is actually around us. The whole ecosystem is very, very crucial. Like Sapna was mentioning about government, right? I think the policy decisions which happen, the kind of environment which is built in by the government really helps us a lot. Do you think, Malini, that national education policy with all these dreams will be able to see the light?
See, the first step is acceptance. So the NEP 2020 says that yes, with the changing scenario, teachers have to re-establish themselves. So that's the first step, that yes, you have to do something about it. Now, what next is, they talk about that the aim of education, allowing the child to take ethical decisions. So when you talk about ethical decisions, it is about giving the human values, the constitutional values. The emphasis is there, impetus is there. It also talks about, bringing back the old ancient Indian universities. What was happening in the Nalanda, Takshashila, Vikramshila? What was that? It was like children multidisciplinary education. So by 2030, the NEP says that teacher education has to come out of as a isolated teacher education institutes, but a part of multidisciplinary universities. So I think that's a good move that they're targeting. They're setting up lines. NCRT also has been put upon the job for managing the international, taking the pedagogies internationally and putting it as a document. And then when NCRT works, it has to cater to the last school, in India.
Sapna, over to you. I want you to share how do you think, I mean, even private schools are really trying their best with all the kind of resources they are having, they are managing to somehow survive. Government schools, yes, they have a lot of money, more than private schools, but probably in terms of the mindsets, in terms of their focus area, which is more administrative, will they be able to cope up with this kind of change?
So first, let me just give you the context.
Sure.
That I don't work for the government, but I got an opportunity of working very closely with the government during the pandemic, and that was not one state. I worked with 10 states and 10 secretaries. I got to interact at what they are doing in the system. So first and foremost, we are not going to be replaced as a government policy also, because the biggest challenge which the governments are facing is how to ask a child to attend the school. So that's the biggest challenge. The challenge is not how to, they have education, they have teachers, how to ask the children to come to school. So that's, they are doing mohallas, they are doing lot of things where the children are asked that why should they attend the school. Secondly, I asked one of the states that I said, why don't you have this app of marking the attendance? So the secretary, you know what he said? He says marking the attendance is a far-fetched dream, because they have a lot of unions where they say that if you do this attendance, the teachers will not come to school. So we have, yes, as you said, we have, government has money, but to channelize those resources is a very difficult task. So these are the challenges which we can together sort it out, because they need help from private schools. So if a private school can adapt or adopt 5 government schools, and every secretary has got some 10-15 directors under them, so I am sure that if we go a little bit out of our comfort zone and see what's the government doing, we can really work in partnership, which the NEP says. And also the fee structure. Lot of auto rickshaw drivers or our helpers, they cannot afford a budget school also. So government schools are really providing good facilities. Only thing is that we need to just ask the children, even if our workers are there, we can ask them to send the children to school.
So I think, and with time, there are multiple models coming out, right? I mean, Deepti, because with the pandemic, we have seen an online model, we've got hybrid, then we had alternate school, there are micro school, there are nano schools. I mean, there are so many types of schools. I don't know whether you know, but all these terms of types of schools are emerging. Do you think with all these kind of emerging models, we will be able to sustain?
Yes, India is a very vast geographical locations. So what I have observed that in the southern India, in the, like if I talk about the Maharashtra, Andhra Pradesh, mostly there are government schools. Very few CBSE schools are there. So if I'm looking towards India, so we cannot think India to be in a single pace or single way of thinking, a single way of methodology we cannot adopt.
I totally agree. We have to get down to the level of a child, live their life if they're playing some games, play with them. And it's a big eye opener. Never feel less or never feel inferior to that. Thank you so much. I think I've got the warning messages from the team here. Thank you so much to the panelists for spending some time. We are not going to be replaced, and that's our belief always. Because till the time the human touch is there, nothing can change us. Technologies will come, go, and we should just run the speed. Our speed of ensuring that our kids are with us. And today or tomorrow, when these kids probably will go to these different online schools or moved away from our models, at some point of time, when they grow up, they will realize what they actually missed. And that will really strengthen the school system much more. Thank you so much to the panelists, and thank you, Brahman, for this wonderful time. Thank you.